Yo, what's going on, ladies? So in this audio/video, I wanted to talk about this whole notion of men just wanting sex. Because I hear that a lot. I hear a lot of women say that, all men want is sex. These guys are dogs. All they want to do is have sex. They don't want any, committed relationships. They just want to, have sex. And this is why they will have sex with you and move on and this and this and that, right? What you got to understand is that men don't just want sex. It may seem that way, in a lot of situations. But men don't just want sex. Now, of course, you're going to have exceptions of guys who actually just do want sex. Like, they're like, that's all they want to do is just have sex and keep it moving and go to the next girl, have sex with her, keep it moving. There are guys out there like that, guys who are players, guys who are in their player stage who want to do that type of stuff. There are guys who want to do that. But the vast majority of men don't just want sex. In fact, there's a lot of guys who actually want girlfriends. There's a lot of guys who actually want girlfriends, right? But, I got to go sort of like deep into why, it seems like, guys just want sex. And also why there are a lot of guys who want girlfriends. But the reason why you're not running into those guys is, something else. But I'm going to explain that later. So let's talk about first this whole thing about, men just want sex, right? Now, what you got to understand is this. It's not that men just want sex. It's just that for a man, right? What it is that when he's dealing with women just in general, right? There's always exceptions. But in general, what happens is that when a guy comes across a woman, a lot of times what he notices is that the sex seems to be the most desirable thing about the woman, right? Now, the reason why he sees it like this is because there's something in your personality he doesn't like, or there's something that you're doing that he's not feeling. Right. So this can be anywhere from, let's say you might have a bad attitude. You might not be that submissive. You might be bossy or something. It's certain things. You might be too flaky. You might get like extremely emotional at times for whatever reason. Right. So what happens is that these other traits make it turns him off to you, because what happens is, let's say you have a guy who's, not necessarily like, he's not the type of guy that's like, I just want sex. But what happens is that he's like, okay, this girl seems cool. I want to date her because she looks, I'm attracted to her. Of course he wants sex, but he's not just thinking all I want is sex. He's like, okay, well, she seems cool. I could actually see myself dating her and seeing where it goes and whatever, right? Now, as he dates you, he starts to see those characteristics he doesn't like, which is the bad attitude, the bossiness, the you're not being submissive, all these other stuff, whatever it is. It's, it's a whole bunch of different things, right? So now that he's seen those characteristics, he's like, I don't like those things about her, but she is still physically attractive, so I still want to have sex with her. So, but the thing is, once I have sex with her, I'm done. Right. And so what a lot of women still don't understand is that a guy doesn't necessarily need to like you to have sex with you, meaning he doesn't have to like your personality, like who you are as a person, to have sex with you. So therefore he has sex with you and then he leaves. So now what it seems like from your perspective is guys just want sex. But the only reason he wanted sex and from you and left was because there were other things that you displayed that were undesirable. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of times I try to teach women, that you got to understand that in certain situations, the way that you're coming across or the way that you're acting can be, turning these guys off and make the guys want to keep it moving. But see, the reason why you're confused sometimes is because the guy's not going to really tell you this. He's not going to say to you, hey, I don't like your attitude, or hey, I don't like the way you do this or do that, because he doesn't want to say anything to you, because he's like, well, if I tell her these things I don't like, then I'm probably not going to get the sex. So what happens is that you continuously think this guy likes you because he's giving you the attention, but he's just giving you the attention long enough to where you guys can have sex. And then once you have sex, he's gone because of, those personality traits he didn't like. Right? Now, you have the guys, I was talking about earlier, you have the guys that want girlfriends, right? Now, this is where it gets tricky. Because you're saying you like Mr. Lucario, but you're talking about, there's all these guys out there that want girlfriends. Where are they? Right? I want to be with that guy who's not just trying to have sex and keep it moving, or that guy who just feels like he wants to have sex or whatever it is. I want a guy who wants something more. Right? Now, what happens is that there's a lot of guys out there that want girlfriends. The problem is, though, is that most of these guys who want girlfriends are the guys that most women don't pay attention to. So what's happening here is this, and this ties into also the sex thing where, have certain guys that will just have sex with you or whatever, is that let's say you have 100 guys in a room. Now, let's say you have 100 guys in the room, 100 women in the room, right? Now, all 100 of the women, or let's say not all 100, let's say 90 of the women out of the 100 want 20 of the guys in the room. So all 90 of those women want 20 of the guys. The other 10 women, will pick from, the whole 100 or whatever. You understand? Or the other 80 or something like that. Right? So you have 100 guys. And most of the women want 20% of the guys. So what happens is sometimes is that, and this correlates to why it seems like guys just want to have sex, is that if you choose one of those 20 guys gets with any of those 90 women who want him, he gets with one of them, he still has 89 women who want him. So there's no incentive for him to just stay or to keep things going with you, because he has 89 other women who want to have sex with him because he's in the top 20. He's like the tall, rich, good looking, whatever you want to call it. You understand? So, he's in that top 20% of, that guy that you would find attractive. Now, there's nothing wrong with you wanting that guy, but you got to understand that part of that attraction you have for him is other women have that attraction too. So a lot of those guys are going to be harder to pin down unless you are extremely on point to where he's ready to actually be in that situation with you, or he gets influenced by how awesome you are to be in that type of situation with you. But what happens is you got the other 80% of guys who are, they're not bad dudes. They're not, like really like some type of undesirable guy. They're just, a cool guy, but they're not in the top 20. So the thing is, a lot of times what women are doing, they're always trying to one up. They're always trying to get the best of the best of the best, which is, objectively not a bad thing. But the thing is that if you want a boyfriend, right, you're more likely to have a guy who's not going to just have sex with you and leave by dealing with the 80% of guys who are also good guys versus trying to always find or get with that top dude that a lot of times when you first get with him that it's not going to go anywhere, but you just have that desire. So it's not necessarily saying that you need to lower your standards. It's just you got to be more realistic with your situation and your standards. See, the thing with guys is that a lot of times guys, what they do is, like, I always say this, if guys chose women how women choose men, most women would not get talked to. All right, you got to think about that. If guys chose women how women chose men, most women would not get talked to. Now, the reason, why this is the case this way is that women, you'll be a little bit more picky than us guys. And understand on a biological level, it's like, okay, you want to make sure the guy that you're picking and choosing is the type of guy who's on point, just in case you guys get together, you get kids, you want to, you get into a relationship, you want to make sure he's the type of guy that's going to protect and provide, all this other stuff, right? But see, a lot of there's part of you that's choosing guys a lot of times, based off of you trying to get the, like the top guy, period. And that's all you're looking for. You understand? And so if you don't get that top guy, you're saying, well, there's no guys around, and all these guys just want sex, and I can't find a guy that's going to stay with me or whatever. But the reason why you're not finding that is because you're either running into players who are just going to be smashing and having sex with a whole bunch of girls because they can, because they're in the top 20 and all these girls want to have sex with them. Or you're running into guys who, you might had a good relationship with them, but there are the things that you're doing that's undesirable that make the guy just want to have sex with you. Because this is what also happens, is that the guy who's in the 80%, the guy who's not the top 20%, but the guy who's in the 80%, even he will just have sex with you if he realizes that there's certain things in your personality he doesn't like. So at first he's like, oh, this girl's awesome, I would love to have her as a girlfriend. Then you display certain qualities and characteristics he doesn't like. And then he also says, well, I would have been her boyfriend, but she's this way, that way, so I'm just going to have sex with her. And then again, we go back to you thinking all guys just want sex. So how do you get around this whole thing? So if you are a woman who wants a guy to be with you, a guy that's just not going to have sex with you and leave and all this other stuff, right? How do you get around this? Well, the main thing you need to do is you have to work on yourself, work on your personality. Because this is the thing. Men in general are going to want to have sex with you. That's not you don't even have to worry about that. That's just going to be a given. It's just going to happen. See, it's not a problem for you to get sex. It's a problem for you to try to keep the guy interested. And so what keeps the guy interested is your personality, is you having that warm, loving, caring, submissive, pleasant to be around, no attitude, no bossy type of nonsense. And I'm saying in general, because in general, most guys like a woman who's, real cool, polite, chill, not acting like a bitch, all this other stuff. You understand? And I know some of you ladies are probably thinking, oh, but I was nice to this guy and that guy, and he still, had sex with me and never called again. Yeah, that's going to happen. You understand? You're always going to have some of those guys around because, you're going to, let's say you date 5 guys within the next month, and one of those guys could be that top 20% who's hard to pin down, and he's going to have sex with you and leave, even though you were nice or whatever. Or one of those 5 guys could be just a player who, no matter how awesome you are, he just wanted to have sex. That's just on his agenda. But if you are so awesome, even if you meet a guy in the top 20% or the 80% and you're awesome and they're at that point that they want to have a girlfriend, then you are most likely going to, be with that guy. But sometimes it takes for you to go through one player after another, or a guy that, might not be, feeling you to a certain extent, to get to that guy who you really click with. But the thing that's going to make it more feasible for that to happen is if you work on yourself first to the point where you're so awesome that it's undeniable that, these guys are going to want to really stick with you. Because the thing is, you're always in indirect competition with other women. So when these guys are out here dealing with these other girls and they're dating you, and then they notice that you rise above the rest, that you stand out, then you're going to be the one that they're going to have their eye on when it comes to them thinking about having a girlfriend. You see what I'm saying? So that's pretty much it. That's all I want to say about that today. Listen, if you ladies have any questions, make sure you click the link below, and I'll holler at you later. Remember, the truth is inside you. Peace. I'm gone.